Hi, everyone. Today we are going to continue with our module, Project Earth. We will continue reading the text, Parrots over Puerto Rico. For our learning target today, we're going to focus on I can identify organizational patterns. And when we think about an organizational pattern, we're really thinking about how the text is set up. So when we're thinking about our informational text, where an author is trying to give us facts about a certain topic, there are different ways that they will set up this text. We might see it as a comparison or contrast, which is where they're giving us how things are alike and different. We might see it set up as a cause and effect, where the author is trying to explain what happened and why it happened. We might see things set up in sequential or logical order, first, next, last. And then we also might see it set up as a problem and solution to show how a problem was present and how it was solved. So as we read the text today, I want you to continue monitoring and clarifying for yourself. Am I understanding what the text is saying? And do I need to go back and reread a section? Do I need to check on a word? Do I need to look at the pictures to help me understand? So I'm going to have you open to page 360 in your Into Reading books, and you can follow along as I read. In the treetops, the parrots searched for mates. The new pairs of parrots sat on branches, bowing, calling back and forth to each other, and fluffing their wings and tails. Each pair raised one family of chicks every year. Now, people from many other parts of the world came to live in Puerto Rico. In 1513, Africans were brought to the island to toil as slaves under the hot sun in fields of sugarcane and other crops. More people came from Spain too. They married Tianos and Africans. They all called themselves Boricuans, people of Boriquen, but they were still ruled by Spain. Iguaca, iguaca, the parrots called when a red-tailed hawks chased them in the treetops. The parrots flocked together to protect themselves from the hawks. For centuries, people from other countries in Europe tried to capture Puerto Rico. These countries wanted to control the deep harbor at San Juan, the capital city, where merchant ships and warships could be launched. The Boricuans protected their island. Starting in 1539, they built a fort that grew and grew until its walls were 18 feet thick. For hundreds of years, no country was able to take Puerto Rico away from Spain. Iguaca, iguaca, iguaca. The parrots called when they found their nesting holes had been invaded by creatures brought to the island by settlers. Black rats from the settler ships climbed the tall trees and ate the parrots' eggs. Honeybees that had escaped from hives swarmed into the parrots' nests. In 1898, the United States declared war on Spain. The war was really about Cuba, another of Spain's colonies. But the fighting spilled over into Puerto Rico. Thousands of American soldiers landed on the island and began battling Spanish troops. Spain lost the war and lost control of Puerto Rico. The island became a territory of the United States, and in 1917, Puerto Ricans became U.S. citizens. Iguaca, iguaca. The parrots called as the forest where they made their nests were cut down. The parrots began to disappear from places where they had flown for millions of years. But by 1937, there were only about 2,000 Puerto Rican parrots in the Luquillo Mountains to the east. A few years later, the parrots were living in just one place, El Yunque, a tropical rainforest in those mountains. After Puerto Ricans gained American citizenship, many of them moved to the United States. Those who stayed in rural parts of the island built houses and farms in the areas where parrots had once lived. Many of the parrot's tall, old trees were made into charcoal to use for cooking fires, and people still hunted and trapped the parrots. So we're going to pause here for today, and I'd like you to think about how is the author organizing these different sections?